The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program. It is February the 4th. Good to have your company. You're with the Editor-in-Chief.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner, and welcome. It's World Cancer Day. And the Cancer Society here in New Zealand will join me shortly to give us the latest updates, the developments, the good news, and sadly the bad news. It's CEO Nick Coom. They do wonderful work in supporting victims and their families. So tonight, we sort the fact from the fiction. So many of us will be affected by this in the years ahead. The truth from the kaka is coming up. The players versus those who talked a big game on cancer, but they froze on delivery day. This is raw. This is emotional, it's personal, and it's cancer. So let's go.
Duncan Garner, live.
I want to start with this.
It's the Slam Dunk.
If the past year has shown us anything, then the lesson is invest in the latest world-class cancer drugs and cancer treatments. Invest properly in something that's medically proven or clinically proven, and you'll get results. Despite overlooking it in their first budget, this coalition government quickly realised their mistake. Oh yeah, red-faced. And they stumped up $600 million to fund dozens of the very latest life-extending advanced cancer drugs. This was a game changer. I won't dwell on the oversight. That's petty. Let's look at the action. And it's been remarkable and successful and turned lives around. And crucially, it's given those fighting cancer a chance at life, which is quite amazing. It's been a game changer. Families faced mortgaging their houses to access these drugs before that. If you were rich, you had a chance at life. Poor, and you'd likely die. It wasn't right. Never was. It wasn't fair. It never is. It was deeply wrong and, to me, almost unethical and deeply immoral. If you got money, you survive. If you're poor, you don't. National $600 million has been the most significant and meaningful contribution towards fighting cancer from any government since records have been kept, in my view. No one has hit cancer quite as hard as what National rolled out last year. It smacked it in the face. It was the most significant development in this country in decades in terms of cancer, and it's likely to keep alive those who otherwise may have died. This government's got headlines for the cuts it's been making across the board to establish ineffective programs, some of which make no sense at all. But it's the massive $600 million boost to buy dozens of the latest cancer drugs that's been revolutionary and life-changing, and they deserve to be acknowledged for it because it's provided hope to so many. The truth is, Pharmac was given chump change with the increases under Labor. 20 million, I remember here, 40 million here. It was never transformative, never enough to move the needle. It was nothing. It barely touched the sides. It never kept its promise to sort cancer care out no matter where you lived, the postcode lottery. And people still fled to Australia in search of life-saving funded drugs and a chance of staying alive. Why would you stay here at $100,000 for the drugs will go there and they're free for the chance of a $500 Jetstar fare? Having to go offshore to stay alive, in my view, is quite frankly unacceptable when you're already suffering ill health. It's our duty to care for our sick. What have we become? To care for our sick and our frail and to hand them to Australia, who have more funded drugs and a bigger and better and a more advanced health system, I think it's an embarrassment for us. Labor didn't do much to change that game. So when the government finally kept its promise last year, to spend all this money on dozens of new advanced cancer drugs, it meant Pharmac got the most significant increase to its budget in my lifetime. And almost immediately, the drugs became available. Astonishingly, it was that quick. It was almost within a week. They became available. It's had a massive impact on all these families who are battling cancer. But the hope is that it will continue. The hope is that it may continue into next year, the year after, and the year after that. We need to find permanent funding. And the other thing is that hundreds and hundreds of families no longer have to find hundreds of thousands of dollars to change their lives. I get stuck into this government a lot for being clueless and directionless, and I do it because they deserve it. But researching these drugs in the past 48 hours and looking at their impact, they've been a revelation and much, much more than that. So well done to this coalition government for keeping their word and for realising it required a really big spend. Big spend, big outcome. Funny that, isn't it? Cut spending, bad outcome. Finding the money has not been easy. Luxon kept his word, and it shows that you can find money for anything you want if you prioritise it and make it happen. It won't happen by accident. You have to make it happen, and they did. When being caught red-handed, not doing it might have forgetting the promise might have hurt. Being in government is not hard. It's about what you want to pay for compared to what you don't want to pay for. It's called priorities. The cancer drugs are there. We just have to stump up the cash as a country rather than force those who are sick to find buckets of cash themselves. It's so cruel. And how any politician could oversee a system like that, cruel system like that, and go and sleep at night, it's beyond me. This really is a matter of life and death. The National, in the end, got this right. And they should be acknowledged for that, despite the little speed bump and getting there. It's a low bar, right? For far too long, we've suffered at the hands of governments who talked up a big game, especially that last one, but they gave false hope. And it's cruel. They gave false hope. And strangely, they never went far enough. As someone who saw my dad die of cancer, I could never understand that. Talking something up and they're not delivering. To me, that appears cold and callous and out of touch. Watching my dad slowly die, knowing that there was nothing he could do unless he spent another 100K on untested miracle pills, it was devastating. And I don't think I've ever been the same. You never are. So until National's record spend last year, both sides have been unwilling to properly invest. It's not just Labour. Both sides were unwilling to properly invest. Both Labour and National. The Aussies had twice the drug budget than us. They had more than 100 funded drugs than we had. We should have had them, but we didn't. For far too long, we've been too quiet, too diplomatic, and successive governments too unwilling to make a splash. Oh, we haven't got the money. We spend so much money on other things. $80 million we just spent on the report into the ferries. $50 million in consultants on can we take our bikes across Auckland Harbour Bridge? That's $130 million. That would buy a lot of cancer drugs. It's about priorities. Ministers hide behind, and a lot of these public servants aren't brave, don't know how to do it either. But if we really focus on it, we can get it right. Ministers hide behind PR catch lines and a giant lie that Pharmac were independent from the government and a world-leading drug funding agency that gets bang for buck. No, they weren't all that. They've become better. They had to. In truth, they were highly secretive. It was a fiefdom. Little transparency, even less accountability, less openness compared to international counterparts. And it looked terminal and ineffective. They looked like they were in a fight with the rest of us. But now and then, a hero comes along and smashes the myth and rips open the truth, rips off the scab and exposes the rot and the lies. And people like Malcolm Mulholland, Sir Malcolm to me, who lost wife Vicky to breast cancer. He's truly an outstanding New Zealander, one of the very greatest. For his ruthless, detailed, pinpoint takedown of Pharmac and the New Zealand cancer treatments on offer, he seriously needs to be winning awards for his work in this. Single-handedly, he ran rings around government departments who'd lied for years, and on his own, he made ministers look like Humpty Dumpty after the fall. He's been utterly brilliant. Without his advocacy, more Kiwis would have died, I'm sure of that. With his advocacy, lives have been saved, and I'm sure of that. Lives will have been saved that we don't even know about. To say he should be knighted might sound a bit far-fetched, but so many do way less than Malcolm, and they're already called Sir. Goodness knows why, so Malcolm should be there. He'd probably turn it down. Providing adequate and appropriate cancer funding is the difference between prioritising or not prioritising. It's as simple as that. For too many years, cancer patients have been treated as second-class citizens in New Zealand, told to either go home or die, or chucked on a flight to Aussie in the hope that maybe a better service will be available. And it is. That the Aussies took us, without many questions, shows that maybe they're not that bad after all, those Aussies. Sadly, cancer is so evil, and by 2030, the stats show that 1 in 2 of us will suffer it in some form or another. That's scary, right? 25,000 of us will likely get cancer next year. 9,500 New Zealanders will die this year from it, and again next year because of cancer. Breast, lung, prostate cancer are our biggest killers. Now, the really bad news, and this is directly from the briefing notes to the new health minister, which I've just obtained, and it says this. I'm going to go through this. While cancer outcomes have steadily improved here over the last 30 years, this rate of improvement is slower than other countries. This means we're falling behind other countries in providing New Zealanders decent access to effective screening, detection, advanced treatments. Okay, so we're dragging the chain. We're not keeping up with the best advancements in the world still. Some services are available free in other parts of the country, and other parts you charge thousands of bucks. It's ridiculous. Cancer services are short of trained and qualified staff across a number of crucial areas, and this should be dealt with urgency, so we're short of people. Māori are more likely than non-Māori to be diagnosed with cancer, including breast, liver, lung, pancreatic, stomach and uterine. But it's not just a Māori issue. And I hate it when I hear, this is a Māori issue. Non-Māori, New Zealand Europeans, Pākehā, are more likely than Māori to be diagnosed with melanoma, prostate cancers. Big time. Cancer is a source of stark inequality in the end, though. Māori and Pacific people are 3 times more likely to die of cancer than Pākehās. And the very latest projections estimate 45,000 of us will be diagnosed with cancer every year by 2040. That is a 75% increase on today's figures. As always, you're more at risk if you're obese, if you drink booze, so you've got to stay fit, stay healthy, stop smoking, get moving, less sugar, more veggies, all that stuff Well, it really helps.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, so Nick Coom is the CEO of the Cancer Society, and she joins me now on International Cancer Day. Nick, g'day, nice to see you.
See you again, Duncan.
Yeah, so World Cancer Day. Is this something to celebrate? Something to highlight? Where are we at? How would you judge New Zealand's cancer services? Where are we at?
Yeah, look, I think it's a shame we need World Cancer Day. Yeah, in an ideal world, it wouldn't be something to meet up and have a discussion about, and that's what I hope one day it is the case. But right now, we need to have a discussion around cancer. And days like World Cancer Days, force that discussion. Where are we now? Look, we've made some really good progress. I think probably one of the most significant is the investment in the cancer medicines that we've just had in the last 6 months, and they're still rolling out. That has been our most significant investment in cancer in decades.
Yeah.
And that's meant families, people with cancer, their life has been extended. And there are mums and dads out there this week when the kids are starting school who they're able to take their daughter or their son to their first day of school because their life's been extended.
I looked through the list of these drugs and see what they did and the impact of them and heard some of the stories in the last couple of days. And I got to say, and I've covered this stuff really closely and watched the developments, that 600 million, and I very rarely use this word, it actually is transformative in the sector. I've never seen any government go anywhere near that level of funding.
Couldn't agree more. It is life-changing. I guess what we hope is that it's the start. While it is significant, biggest investment we've ever had, we are so far behind, bottom of the OECD. So this doesn't actually catch us up. And so I think it's about how do we put our foot on, how do we keep our foot on the pedal and make sure this investment, while it's amazing, it's only the start. We need to catch up.
There's no commitment though that there's no commitment to this as an annual uptick. There's no commitment that says we'll do this every 2 years, and which is your point, which is the real concern, because other countries who make a significant investment, like Australia, like Germany, like the UK, they do this stuff regularly. We're announcing ours as a big deal because it's just one-off. We need it regular, and there's no commitment. There doesn't even appear to be funding in line for it. There doesn't appear to be the baseline funding. We're in deficit. We've got a decade of deficits ahead. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely the problem, Duncan, and it's the whole health system's problem. It's not just cancer. I think we're planning short term. We're planning government cycle after government cycle. We're planning for 3-year terms. We are planning and funding health to win the next election.
Yeah.
I'd like to see us plan for health generally, but specifically cancer, for the next 2 or 3 year decades.
We don't even keep a minister. We don't even have a minister for more than a year.
Oh, that's right. That'd be a good start.
Yeah.
But we've got a plan. We've got a plan for our children and our children's children. We're just planning on short 3 year.
Yeah.
Even if I look at 3-year plan, that's not even a strategy. That's just a work plan.
Yeah, I know.
We've got to get strategic. We've got to be intentional. We've got to be more ambitious. And we owe it. We owe it to our kids.
But are you having that to say? So you're in the right space, and is your discussion with the oncologists at the same level? That's where the medical fraternity is. And what about your discussions with government? Is it hard to get into government to talk to them? Are they open to discussing this sort of stuff with you?
Yep. Look, I was really impressed with Minister Reti and his availability and accessibility to the sector and to organisations like the Cancer Society. I found him very responsive. We are hoping we'll see the same with our new minister, and we've reached out to him to participate in some conversations. We're hopeful. We're just chasing up this week. We're hopeful that we will get that meeting, and we're also hopeful that he'll come along to the Institute Cancer Research and Innovation Conference that we've got on here in March.
And we'll talk about that shortly. It really is. He actually needs to be there. The last government, Labor government, promised to end this postcode lottery. From everything I've read and researched and looked into, and the briefing notes to the incoming Minister of Health, it seems to me that the postcode lottery is still a major issue. In some areas you get free care, in other areas you have to pay for the scan or whatever. You might get reimbursed. You might not even have the machine available. We are still at the gates of this lottery, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. The inconsistency across the country is significant. I guess the only thing that I've been heartened by in the last probably six months is that there are more conversations, there are more initiatives propping up. There's been one just actually released, today, which is looking at how might we have a national consistent travel program for health. So I think we could, I'm hopeful, that we could see some of those inconsistencies addressed in the next 6 to 12 months.
Do you think that given, because I look at the numbers and it's something like by 2040, 45,000 of us will get cancer. Right now it's, I think, 25,000. So to almost double in the next 20 years. That being the case, should there be like a minister of cancer care? I mean, so it's carved off. We have all sorts of ministers of all sorts of different things. I wonder if it needs its own eyes and ears.
We have got our own agency, so we've got the Cancer Control Agency. So I'm meeting actually with the CE of that agency next week.
Have they been effective?
Sorry?
Have they been effective?
Yeah, look, they have released some good information, some good data. I'm not convinced yet, Duncan, whether they've been given the mandate, whether they've been given the budget. They're in a really tough role. All they can do is influence. If you've got no budget and you've got no power and you've got no decision making, it's hard to cut through our system.
To me, they look like they could have teeth, but they haven't. To me, they look like they could be funded, but they're not. To me, they look like they could be really good, but they're sort of treading water. I wonder what their point is.
Well, I'm hoping that the new minister will come in and give a really clear directive to the role of the Kids Control Agency and really empower them to get on with the job.
Why are we getting cancer?
Give them the money and the resources to do it.
Why are we all getting cancer? Why is it meant to be 1 in 2 within the next 20 years? 1 in 2 of us will somehow be affected by cancer. Why? What is it about our lifestyles? What can we do differently? How do we prevent this rather than look for a cure over here, which is really expensive? How do we stop this?
Yeah, look, I was really surprised when I came into the Cancer Society to hear that 40 to 50% of cancers can be prevented. That was quite eye-opening to me, and I've been in and around cancer in the health sector for quite some time. So I think there's a lot we can do that we're not doing. There's a lot of things that we know. We know the harm that smoking does. We know and should know the harm that alcohol, has on our bodies and the correlation between alcohol and cancer. The harm that, stress plays on our body. Suntanning and being out in the sun and not covering up. We know these things, but as New Zealanders, we're actually not that good at changing our behaviours.
But we've done this stuff for some time. I think you make some really good points. I just want to go over them. When you think about it, the sun. We've always known we've had issues with the ozone layer. We've always known our sun it burns harshly compared to the rest of the world. Yet we still, Pākehā New Zealanders, get melanomas ahead of every other race because we're exposed to that. Māori are really exposed to other cancers and are more likely to die than other New Zealanders. So we know about sedentary lifestyles. We know about poor food. Booze. I looked at some of the links in the last 24 hours. Booze is bad for us. My dad died of cancer. He drank rum every night. And I look at it and think it's probably the Coke that killed him. I don't know. But he drank a few drums every night after work, And I'd often think that I don't drink now because I saw him die. And I think, was it booze that caused the cancer? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I used to enjoy a glass of wine, and I watched my mum die of cancer, and I found out I've got a predisposition to cancer. I've got the BRCA1 gene mutation, and so I've cut it out too because that's one way I can control my outcomes, and play my part in preventing cancer.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a bit of personal responsibility to take as a country that we're not, I think, prioritising as we could and should, and preventing cancer. I think also there's a role that the government can play, in terms of if we think about cervical cancer and some of our other cancers where we can be lowering the screening age and we can be detecting it earlier. So, if we detect it earlier, we can treat it and we can have good
early
outcomes.
intervention, and it's so crucial. Bowel cancer. Now, our rates of bowel cancer I think they are now the highest in the world. We need to be screening earlier. It's really simple, isn't it?
Simple. When the rest of the world is, we are well behind. There's been a pilot up in the North Island for Māori and Pacific, and at the end of the year last year, that pilot was paused and hasn't been rolled out. There's no commitment for that early screening program for Māori and Pacifica to continue. So
why are we investing in? Why are we
is,
investing in what we know works?
Well, that's the conversation I want to have with our new minister. We've got the tools in front of us. I think that's what the most frustrating thing is. We have got many of the tools in front of us, whether it is screening and early detection, whether it's prevention, whether it's new medicines out there. We're just not either individually or as a government putting those things in place. And as a result, our family members are dying.
That's right. So we have a second-class service, and therefore our citizens are being treated as sort of third-class citizens compared to others around the world who have better access to care because their governments or their agencies have decided to invest in that first-class care. So in many ways, there's more chance of us dying with cancer in New Zealand than there is in, say, Germany, Australia, Britain, Canada, whatever. Which kind of makes me angry. As a taxpayer,
it does when you think about it. Does when you think about it like that, and so then we go right. Well, what are we going to do about it? And so that's what this conference in pursuit is all about. It's about bringing people together, saying, "Hey, it can't all sit on government because it's just not going to work."
No,
it's you bring
they got no money.
The public sector, the private sector, some of our smart business people, our smart investors. We've got smart people out there. How do we bring them together? And say, a country the size of New Zealand, we should be able to get on top of this better than we are now.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that conference brings some energy, brings some discussion, brings some good thinkers to the table, and that we walk out of that more united than we've been before.
And we need people there. You've got to lock those people in the rooms so they don't escape, and also get Simeon Brown in there, lock him in there, lock the doors inside and outside, so they don't leave without an action plan. Because you know what it's like sometimes at these conferences. It gets pumped up, and the people take notes, and they go away, and go, "This is great. We're going to save lives," but nothing happens.
No, I know.
We write a report.
I'm really conscious of that, Duncan, and that's what I'm putting, I guess, my time, my energy into at the moment. This cannot be a talk fest. We've got to walk out of here with either investment for some of these new cutting edge innovations that our smart people are working on, because they're there, and we're going to showcase some of them. So we've got to walk out with some of those funded and showing them that we are committed to taking them to market, and we've got to walk out with a commitment that all of these people are going to work together, and we're going to be united, and we're going to be accountable. Final
question. You've been great today. This is so clear. Pharmac, they appear to me to have had a bit of a shot across the bow. They appear to me to be slightly more open. Now, there used to be a fiefdom that certainly as the media we couldn't get anywhere near, and it was apparently this model that was so brilliant we didn't need to know about it. Well, it sort of got exposed a bit, didn't it? Can we trust them? Are they working hard on our behalf? Are they doing it as quickly as possible? Are they working with everything they've got? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I've seen a really big turnaround in Pharmac in the last 6 months. Their willingness to engage, their openness, the things that you've just talked about. They are going out and they are listening. So I've seen a real shift. I guess, in their culture and their willingness to engage and to listen and to be open to and respectful of families and families' wishes and voices.
I reckon even their openness about what drugs... Of course there's always room for improvement. I reckon even their openness about what drugs they're buying or what drugs they're investing in or what the next decision is, even that to me looks 100% better than it was a year or two ago. Just their ability to communicate. Communication's crucial. Timely communication, especially with families who are facing losing a loved one. Time matters,
Absolutely. As someone who's lost lots of family members to cancer, there's got to be a sense of urgency around this.
Yeah, no, we haven't received that, have we?
Every cancer discussion, there's got to be a sense of urgency.
Yeah. Hey, you've been brilliant today, and we'll catch up again around the conference too. I'm quite keen to keep the pressure on this one and keep it in the public, sort of headlights, really. So thank you, Nick.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Duncan. Thanks for your support. See you later.
You're very welcome. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, so some pretty stark smack us in the nose facts there, Isaac. I mean, I know you're a young fella, producer Isaac, but cancer doesn't discriminate age, race, place.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a pretty scary thing, and I think I mean, you were saying the numbers in New Zealand are crazy. They're insanely high, and I think that it'd be very difficult to walk into a room full of people and find someone that hasn't had cancer in their family at some stage that they've had impact in some way, shape or form. It's a very sucky thing that I mean, I haven't had a crazy amount of experience with it. I've had a couple. My grandfather, for one. My grandfather on my dad's side, he actually died from it. I didn't know him though. That was before I was born.
Do you drink?
No, not intensively. I like I will in a social gathering, but not in copious amounts, no.
Because my father died of cancer and he used to drink, I've largely taken that as the warning.
Yeah. I think that often someone in your family getting cancer is a massive wake-up call for lots of people. Often the thing about that, though, is that it can sometimes be too late, which is often the case with cancer, whether you've got it or whether you don't.
Pick it up early. If you can pick it, I know someone who had prostate cancer. It was picked up way too late, and they were toast. Yeah. But I also know people who've picked up cancer really. My mum had breast cancer while Dad had cancer, and she survived. 15, 20 years on, she's sweet. She's just been to the melanoma clinic just now to get something else cut out of her leg. She wants to live till she's 95, so she's going around cutting things out of her body. She's preventative. She's preventative.
Yeah, 100%. And it's got to be done, and that's why, this funding is so important. And it's great that we're starting to see an improvement there. But at the end of the day, it is a big killer here in New Zealand. So, let's start putting some things in the right direction.
Yeah, keep moving, eat veggies, and don't be a sloth, all that stuff. All right, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it,
best.
Oh, mate. Thanks. That's us. That is us. Thanks for all your feedback. And I'm enjoying the emails coming through as well, all your support. Get in touch through our social media at Duncan Garner Podcast. It's on TikTok and Instagram, or flick us an email, duncan@rover.nz. It turns up. To my team, Isaac, thank you, boss, and Lockie. Remember, life isn't a dress rehearsal. There is no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out and damn enjoy it. Have a great day. Take care, New Zealand.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Got something to say? Email Duncan@rover.nz. Call 0800 863 293.